What if everything you need has already been prepared for you, and the only thing missing is the way you walk? I want you to let that question sink in for a moment, not as a pleasant thought, not as a hopeful wish, but as a possibility so great that it could reorder your entire life if you dared to believe it. Tonight, I am not here to entertain you. I am here to speak to the part of you that knows deep beneath the noise and the worry that you were not sent here to stumble through life by guesswork. You were not placed on this earth to beg your way through existence. You were not born merely to survive from problem to problem. You were sent, and the one who sent you is not careless. Infinite intelligence does not throw a man into the world and then abandon him to chance. The same mind that placed the stars in their courses and holds the seas within their shores has also prepared a way for you, a way for your provision, a way for your work, a way for your relationships, your ideas, your contribution. Long before you worried about tomorrow, tomorrow was already arranged. The difficulty is not that the road is missing. The difficulty is that most men walk as if there were no road at all. They walk like orphans. They speak like beggars. They plan as if everything depended on the moods of other people, the weather of the economy, the rise and fall of events they cannot control. They pray for help and then live as if heaven had given them none. Tonight, I will not speak to you as a victim of circumstance. I will speak to you as a man who has been trusted with a prepared path. What if the contacts you need are already living and breathing, waiting for the moment when your courage finally matches what has been appointed to you? What if the opportunity you call impossible is already built, already standing like a house on a hill with its doors unlocked, simply waiting for your feet to climb? What if the resources you fear you will never have are already assigned in the invisible, counting down the days until your faith becomes large enough to carry them? You see, my friend, the work of God is not late. It is finished. The preparation is not underway. It is complete. Your task is not to beg for what has already been prepared. Your task is to align yourself with it, to think as if it were true, to speak as if it were true, to walk as if it were true now. This is why I speak of laws rather than chances. Laws of mind, laws of faith, laws of action. These laws do not create the blessing. They position you to receive what has been waiting for you since the day you first dared to desire something higher than survival. If you will obey these laws, you will stop moving through life like a man outside the palace gates, pressing his face against the iron bars, hoping someone will notice his hunger. You will begin to walk like a man for whom the doors have already been opened. A man who enters the room knowing he belongs there. A man who begins the work knowing the materials will arrive. A man who speaks his intention knowing that infinite intelligence has gone ahead of him to prepare the ground. Tonight, I invite you into that posture. This is not a speech about how to persuade God to favor you. This is a summons to live as if the favor has already been given, to live as if the road has already been built, as if the table has already been set, as if the very thing you are yearning for is not a distant possibility, but a prepared reality waiting for your agreement. From this hour forward, you must choose how you will walk. You may continue to move as a beggar in a hostile world, doubting every step, explaining every desire, apologizing for your own existence. Or you may begin to walk as one for whom everything has been arranged in advance. The laws I am about to share with you will not flatter you. They will demand something of you. They will ask you to give up the luxury of self-pity. They will ask you to lay down the habit of speaking as if you were forsaken. They will require you to act in a manner worthy of a man whose path is prepared by infinite intelligence itself. If you have the courage to accept that calling, then this hour will not be ordinary for you. It will be a turning point. So settle yourself, breathe slowly. Allow your mind to become still, and as you do, say quietly within yourself, "From this moment on, I will no longer walk as if I were forgotten. I will walk as if everything I need has already been prepared for me." Now we begin. All my life, I have watched men call things luck that were nothing of the sort. They say he was in the right place at the right time. They shrug and whisper, "It just happened to work out for him." They look at a sudden opportunity, a chance meeting, an unexpected promotion, and they name it accident. But I have sat too near the fire of great men to believe in accidents. I have watched, with my own eyes, How what looks like coincidence from the outside is in truth careful preparation from the invisible side of life. What men call chance, I call the quiet handwriting of infinite intelligence. Let me speak plainly. Nothing important in your life has ever been random. You may not have seen the pattern. You may not have understood the timing, but order was at work. I remember the early days of my association with Andrew Carnegie to the world. He was simply the richest man of steel. To me, he became a living illustration of the way divine mind prepares long before a man understands what is being prepared. Carnegie told me how, as a boy, he stood in a telegraph office earning a few dollars a week. He was small, underfed, with no great education and no obvious advantage. Yet day after day, important men passed through that little office. Railroad executives, business owners, bankers. They barely noticed the boy behind the counter. To the casual eye, those days meant nothing. But infinite intelligence was already arranging the pattern. The boy was being trained to listen, to read men's tones, to understand how opportunity spoke before it was named. One evening a message came in from a railroad official. Others were busy. The operator on duty asked young Carnegie if he might take it. The boy's hands trembled, but he stepped forward, took the instrument, and delivered the message quickly and correctly. The official looked at him with new eyes. Within a short time, that one incident led to a better position, which led to another, which opened the door into the railroad business, which later connected him with opportunities in steel, and the rest the world calls history. Now, if you only saw the moment the official noticed him, you might call it luck. But if you see the years before, the faithful work in obscurity, the listening, the practice, the readiness, you understand something much deeper. Long before the opportunity appeared, the boy was being prepared for the opportunity, and long before the boy arrived in that office at all, circumstances were being guided, people were being placed, lines were being built, so that there could even be a telegraph, an office, a message, an opening. Infinite intelligence prepares long before you arrive. But I've traced this same law in the lives of inventors, leaders, merchants, farmers, and yes, in my own life. There were hours when I sat in discouragement, convinced that nothing was happening, that my efforts were in vain. Only later did I discover that while I thought all was still, doors were quietly being formed in places I had not yet walked. A publisher I had never met was reading a small article of mine and forming a favorable opinion. A man across the country was failing in an old business and beginning to hunger for a philosophy that would later bring him to my work. A future friend was being transferred to a city I had not even planned to visit. When those people finally stepped into my story, it felt sudden. But nothing of it was sudden. The preparation was older than my awareness. You must begin to look at your own life through this lens. Think of the skills you have been forced to learn. Think of the disappointments that pushed you out of one path and into another. Think of the strange delays that kept you from going where you thought you wanted to go. What if those were not punishments, but placement? What if the delay was divine intelligence arranging a better intersection for you? What if the closed door saved you from entering the wrong house? God does not improvise. A farmer does not scatter seed on barren rock and then hope for rain. He studies the land, prepares the soil, digs the furrows, chooses the season, and only then does he plant. Do you imagine the mind that designed that farmer is less orderly than the farmer himself? No. Before a man ever steps onto the field of his purpose, the furrows have already been cut. The soil has already been turned. The rain has already been scheduled. When I speak of acting as if God has already prepared everything for you, I am not asking you to pretend. I am asking you to recognize a law that has been operating in your life since before you understood the word law. Infinite intelligence prepares long before you arrive. It prepares circumstances. It prepares other people. It prepares timing. And most of all, it prepares you through every chapter you would have preferred to skip. The tragedy is that most men walk through this prepared world with the eyes of an orphan. They step into rooms arranged for their growth and say, "This is meaningless." They encounter people sent to sharpen them and call it inconvenience. They meet small opportunities and despise them because they do not yet look like the great dream in their mind. They do not see the pattern. They call the thread a tangle. From this night on, I want you to live differently. When something unexpected appears, instead of saying, "What a coincidence," I want you to say, of course. Preparation is revealing itself. When a door opens that seems almost too fitting, I do not want you to shrink back in suspicion. I want you to remember the ground was prepared long before your feet arrived. And when you feel you are in a season where nothing is happening, remind yourself the silence is not empty. Somewhere beyond your current line of sight, arrangements are being made. Hearts are being stirred. Paths are being cleared. Infinite intelligence prepares long before you arrive. Let this be your inner posture as you move through your day. Say quietly now, and mean it. I walk into a world already prepared for my good. Again, more slowly. I walk into a world already prepared for my good. Let that thought begin to color the way you enter a room, the way you read a letter, the way you meet a stranger. You are not stumbling into chaos. You are stepping into a pattern. Nothing is random. Not for the man who walks with God's preparation under his feet. There is a tragic mistake I have watched men make all my life. It is not poverty of opportunity. It is not lack of intelligence. It is the poverty of how they see themselves in a world already prepared for them. I call it the beggar mind. The beggar mind walks through life as if God has forgotten to provide. It prays with its lips, yet doubts with its posture. It speaks of faith, yet moves as if everything depended upon the charity of other men. I have watched a man kneel beside his bed and ask for guidance, ask for strength, ask for an open door, and the very next morning rise and walk as if heaven never heard him. His shoulders are bent. His eyes search the ground. He approaches opportunity as a trespasser, not a rightful guest. He says, I hope something good will happen, while acting as if nothing good has ever been prepared. That is the beggar mind. It asks, will I be allowed, instead of declaring I was sent. It lives in constant fear of refusal. It waits for signs instead of walking in the law that has already been given. Picture this. In one room, a great banquet has been prepared. The table is long and heavy with food. Chairs are set. Candles are lit. Your name is written on a place card. The host has been expecting you. Everything is ready. Nothing more needs to be cooked, purchased, or planned. The only thing left is for you to enter and take your seat. But instead of stepping through the open door, you remain outside in the cold street, beating your fists against the front gate, shouting, please, is there anything for me? Can someone spare a crust of bread? The people inside hear the noise and shake their heads sadly. If only he would come in, they whisper. But you do not come in, because you have decided deep in your mind that you are not the kind of man who belongs at a prepared table. You believe you must knock and beg and plead and prove yourself before you taste what was cooked with you in mind from the beginning. That is how many men live. They stand outside the life prepared for them. They hammer on the doors of fear, of other people's opinions, of imagined limitations, while just a few steps away their true place is waiting, set, reserved, ready. The beggar mind does not see the prepared room. It is too busy staring at the locked gate. And when such a man prays, what does he really say? With his words he may cry, God, help me. But with his attitude he whispers, I do not believe you have arranged anything good for me. I am alone. I am forgotten. I must survive on scraps. That attitude is an insult to the power that sent you here. It is as if a king were to send his son to govern a province, providing every resource, every document of authority, every guard necessary, and the son arriving in that land chooses to live in rags outside the palace walls, begging the citizens for coins. He was given a throne, yet he behaves as though he were an intruder. My friend, you were not sent here to live with your hat in your hand, asking life for permission to exist. When you speak to infinite intelligence and then rise to act like an orphan, you create a contradiction so violent that your subconscious mind does not know which voice to obey. Your mouth says, I am guided. Your movements say, I am abandoned. Your prayers ask for doors to open, and then your feet refuse to walk toward them. The beggar mind believes everything is a matter of luck. Perhaps someday something will fall from the table. It waits for the moods of other men to decide its future. It hands its power to circumstances, to gossip, to the market, to the weather, to anything outside itself that can be blamed. But the man who understands divine preparation cannot live that way. He knows this. If God has prepared, then I must prepare myself to receive. If infinite intelligence has arranged the path, then I must walk it with the dignity of one who is expected, not tolerated. You must choose this very hour which kind of man you will be. Will you remain at the gate, knocking with trembling hands, apologizing for your own existence? Or will you straighten your back, remember who invited you, and step into the hall prepared for you, not with arrogance, but with rightful reverence? I am not asking you to demand from men. I am asking you to stop doubting God. From this moment, you must train your thoughts to match the truth we have spoken, that you live in a world already prepared in secret for your growth, your service, your increase. Bow your head just a little now, not in shame, but in decision, and repeat after me, slowly, so that every word sinks into the deeper mind. I am not a beggar in a forgotten world. I am a builder in a prepared one. Again, I am not a beggar in a forgotten world. I am a builder in a prepared one. One more time with more conviction. I am not a beggar in a forgotten world. I am a builder in a prepared one. Let this become the end of your begging and the beginning of your building. When you feel that old attitude rise, the urge to complain, to envy, to doubt, answer it with this new decree. You are not standing outside a locked universe. You are walking inside a plan that has been waiting for you to wake up and claim your place. There is a law so simple that most men overlook it, and yet so powerful that it separates those who drift from those who arrive. The law is this: walk as if the road already exists, and it will rise to meet your feet. Most people stand still and say, "If only I could see the way clearly, then I would move." They wait for the entire map to be drawn before they take a single step. They demand from God a full diagram of every turn, every bridge, every hill before they will lift their foot from the ground. But that is not how infinite intelligence guides a man. God does not hand you a finished map. He hands you a direction and waits to see whether you will honor it. I have watched this law at work in the lives of many men. Let me tell you of one. He was a modest man from a small town with a simple but burning idea. He wished to open a workshop, nothing grand at first, where he could repair machinery and gradually build his own designs. He had no wealthy relatives, no large sum of money, no guarantee. He had, as most men do, a list of reasons to remain where he was. His friends told him, "You must wait until you have more capital." His relatives said, "When the times are better, then you can begin." His own mind whispered, "It is too great a risk." Perhaps God has not prepared anything for you there. One night, after much inner struggle, he sat alone at his table and wrote a single line at the top of a sheet of paper. "Today I will take one step toward the shop that is already prepared for me." He did not know how it would all unfold, but he chose to act as if the road already existed, and his task was only to walk upon it. The very next morning he went to a man he respected in the town and said, "I am opening a small workshop. I cannot yet afford the finest tools, but I will give you the finest work I know how. Would you allow me to use a corner of your old barn for 6 months?" It was a small step, not a miracle, not a grand event, but it was movement. The older man studied him for a moment and replied, "I have been waiting for someone with courage enough to ask that. The barn is empty. Take it. Pay me what you can when you can." The path shifted beneath his feet. A few weeks later, another man brought him a broken machine to repair. He did his work with care and excellence. That client told another. Soon more machines appeared at the barn door. A traveling business owner arrived, impressed with his skill and attitude, and offered a small partnership to expand the workshop into a proper shop in the town. From the outside, it looked like good luck, but I tell you plainly, none of it would have occurred if he had remained frozen, analyzing every possibility, demanding to see the entire staircase before he climbed the first step. The workshop, the clients, the partnership, these were not random. They were prepared long before. They were waiting in the realm of possibility, in the mind of infinite intelligence, ready to materialize the moment a man would dare to walk as if the way were already prepared. God did not send him a map. God sent him a step. And when he honored that step, the next piece of road revealed itself beneath his feet. This is how the divine plan works with every one of us. You say, "But I cannot see how it will all happen." Of course you cannot. You are not meant to hold all the details. If you could see everything, faith would not be required, and no relationship with infinite intelligence would be necessary. God keeps the wider view. You keep the daily obedience. He holds the map. You move your feet. If you refuse to step until you see everything, you are not living by faith. You are living by fear dressed in fine clothing. I have seen men wait 10 years, 20 years for a moment when everything is clear and die with their purpose still locked in their chest. They say, when the time is right, when money arrives, when I feel more confident, never realizing that the road would have emerged if they had simply begun walking as if it were already there. So I give you now a very simple daily discipline. Each morning, before you are swept into the noise of the day, sit down with a quiet mind and ask yourself, if God had already prepared everything I need, what is one step I could take today in agreement with that truth? Write that step down, not in vague language, but in clear, definite action. Perhaps it is a letter to be written, a conversation to be had, a visit to a place, a plan to be put on paper, a small sum to be set aside, a skill to be studied for 1 hour with full attention. Do not ask if it is big enough. Do not delay until the step feels glamorous. The power is not in the size of the step. The power is in the spirit with which it is taken. You are not proving your genius. You are proving your trust in a prepared road. Then this is important. You must take that step as if the path were already laid, as if the unseen stones were already placed beneath your foot. Do not drag your body like a prisoner. Do not move with the posture of a beggar, hoping something will happen. Move with the quiet dignity of a man entering what has been arranged for him from the beginning. You may not hear thunder in the heavens. No trumpet may sound. The world may not applaud, but something will shift. Sometimes the change is outside. A new person appears. A circumstance bends. A door opens. Sometimes the change is inside. An idea flashes. An old fear loosens. A new strength appears in your spine. Both are signs that the road is responding. You will find, if you persist in this practice, that a most astonishing thing begins to happen. The number of coincidences in your life increases. Helpful people appear at unexpected times. A book falls into your hands just when you required its knowledge. A difficulty that once looked impossible reveals a narrow opening just wide enough for the man who is already walking. This is not accident. It is alignment. You have shifted from standing still, demanding proof, to moving as if the way were already designed in your favor. Now I want you to breathe deeply and let this truth reach your subconscious mind, where all real change begins. Close your eyes for a moment if you can, and imagine the road before you, not fully visible, but real, solid, laid by hands unseen. See yourself standing upon it. Now slowly repeat these words with me. I move as if the way were already made for me. Again, a little more firmly. I move as if the way were already made for me. One last time, with the full weight of your decision. I move as if the way were already made for me. Let this become your new habit, not to wait for certainty, but to act as though the God who sent you has not forgotten to build a road. For when you walk in that spirit, step by step, the invisible path you could not see from a distance will reveal itself directly beneath your moving feet. There is a force that moves ahead of you, arranging details you cannot see, preparing opportunities you cannot yet touch. But whether those opportunities ever become visible in your world depends upon one quiet, invisible habit in your inner life: what you expect. Expectation is not a weak wish. It is not a vague hope. It is faith in motion. It is the silent prayer you carry with you all day long, whether you speak of it or not. You may kneel to pray in the morning, asking God for guidance, for provision, for favor, but the real measure of your belief is not found in the words you speak on your knees. It is found in the expectation you carry when you rise. If your outer prayer says, "Help me," but your inner expectation whispers, "Nothing ever works for me," it is your expectation that will govern what you notice, what you accept, what you act upon. Expectation is continuous prayer. I have observed this law at work in countless lives. Let me paint for you the picture of two men. Both begin a new day. Both face uncertain conditions. Both claim to believe in God. The first man wakes with heaviness. He looks at his circumstances and says within himself, "Today will be like all the others, hard, dry, without favor. People will disappoint me. Doors will stay closed. Nothing ever truly changes for me." He may not say these words aloud, but he feels them. He walks slowly. His eyes already look for what can go wrong. He approaches people as if they are likely to refuse him. His posture asks for little. His tone expects little. His mind notices every slight difficulty as proof that he was right to doubt. The second man wakes facing the same kinds of troubles. His bills are real. His responsibilities are heavy. His path is not yet clear. But before his feet touch the floor, he pauses and says inwardly, "Infinite intelligence has gone ahead of me. Something prepared for my good will appear today. I may not know how, but I expect right doors, right people, right guidance." He does not deny reality. He adds a higher one to it. As he walks through his day, his eyes are open, not for disaster, but for evidence of divine preparation. He steps into a room not as a man condemned, but as a man invited. He speaks with a quiet assumption that there is a place for him, a supply for him, a path for him, because he believes that the one who sent him has not forgotten to prepare it. Now tell me, do you think these two men have the same day? The first man will find exactly what he expects. He will encounter a small obstacle and interpret it as proof that nothing works. He will meet someone who could have helped him, but his defeated tone will close the door before it has a chance to open. He will pass by subtle invitations, seeing only threat where preparation was hidden. The second man, walking in expectation, will also meet difficulty, but he will treat it as a temporary turn on an already arranged road. Where the first man sees a closed door, he will notice a window ajar. Where the first man senses rejection, he will sense instruction. Where the first man sees an end, he will see a bend. You call it luck. I call it the law of expectation. Both men prove their inner belief. The first proves his quiet faith in failure. The second proves his quiet faith in a prepared good. God is not mocked by our outer words. He responds to our inner state. What you expect is what you are asking for, whether you know it or not. So I give you this law in simple terms. God has already prepared. Your expectation is the key that unlocks what is stored. If you expect to be turned away, you will walk to the door already half rejected in your own mind, and the slightest resistance will send you home. If you expect to be guided, you will listen longer, look deeper, and discover the way that others overlook. Expectation does not force the hand of God. It aligns you with what has already been done. It sharpens your eyes to see, your heart to receive, and your will to act when the moment quietly presents itself. Think of the farmer. He does not sow seed and then expect the soil to betray him. He prepares the ground with the expectation that harvest is a natural consequence of sowing. That expectation shapes how he works. He rises early. He protects the field. He endures bad weather with patience, because inwardly he is certain that the invisible process is at work beneath the surface. If he were to expect failure, he would abandon the crop at the first sign of storm. His fear would become the architect of his results, not the weather. So it is with your life. If you move through your days secretly expecting disappointment, then even when a prepared blessing appears, you will either fail to recognize it or fail to receive it. You will say, "It is too good to be true," and push away what heaven has carefully arranged. Expectation does not merely predict your emotional state, it organizes your behavior. A man who expects provision walks more boldly into opportunities. He looks others in the eye. He asks with more clarity. He listens with more attention. He follows faint threads of possibility that a hopeless man would ignore. Heaven has prepared many things that require a man of expectation to claim them. I would have you practice this law in a simple way. Before you enter a meeting, do not rush in with your mind full of anxiety and what if it goes wrong. Instead, pause for a brief moment. Let your breath become steady, and inwardly say, "Something prepared for my good will appear today." Before you begin your day's work, do not drag yourself to your desk as though you were walking to a sentence. Stand still for a moment and declare within, "Something prepared for my good will appear today." Before you start a project, make a decision, or step into an unfamiliar place, do not fill your mind with pictures of rejection and disaster. Close your eyes briefly and say, "Something prepared for my good will appear today." Do not look for grand miracles. Look for alignment, small turns, quiet openings, an unexpected word, a timely idea. Add your movement to them, and you will discover that what you called small was actually the entrance to something much larger. Expectation trains your mind to search for what God has already stored. Now let us let this truth settle more deeply. I want you, as you listen to my voice, to imagine the day ahead of you like a room already arranged. The chairs are placed, the doors are hung, certain people are at certain tables, certain opportunities lie folded inside chance conversations. You cannot yet see them, but they are there. You are about to walk into that room. How will you enter it? As a man who believes he is trespassing and must apologize for every step, or as a man who believes that infinite intelligence has already prepared specific good for his assignment? Breathe slowly and quietly speak within yourself. I expect the prepared good that belongs to my assignment. Again, with a little more confidence, I expect the prepared good that belongs to my assignment. Once more, as if you were signing a contract with your own soul, I expect the prepared good that belongs to my assignment. This is not a charm. It is a choice. From this moment forward, you are to treat expectation as a sacred duty. You are not permitted to wander mentally into images of ruin and then claim that you believe in a prepared road. Your true belief is revealed in what you continually expect when no one is watching and no one is listening. God has prepared. The road is there. The help is there. The ideas are there. Expectation is the hand with which you turn the key. There is a reason, my friend, why some men stand under a sky rich with opportunity, and yet nothing lasting ever falls into their hands. It is not because God has forgotten them. It is not because there is nothing prepared. It is because there is nowhere safe for those blessings to land. Heaven does not pour new wine into broken vessels. Infinite intelligence does not send heavy responsibility to a man whose inner life cannot bear its weight. To do so would not be kindness. It would be cruelty. You must now understand a law that is as spiritual as prayer and as practical as a ledger. Before outer provision comes inner order. God does not squander. He does not waste. He does not send abundance into chaos. He prepares the blessing, but he also watches the man. And when the man has brought order to his mind, purpose to his days, and discipline to his habits, then and only then can he safely receive what was prepared long ago. Let me speak plainly. It is not enough to say, I am ready for more, if your life testifies otherwise. If your thoughts wander without direction, if your purpose is vague and constantly changing, if your habits are ruled by mood instead of decision, then even if a great opportunity were to knock at your door tomorrow morning, you would not recognize it, or you would not be able to carry it. I once observed such a tragedy. There was a young man, let me call him Samuel, who possessed unusual talent. He had ideas, energy, charm. One day, through a chain of circumstances that could only be called providential, a very wealthy businessman took interest in him. This businessman saw in Samuel the raw material of greatness. He invited him to a meeting, just a simple breakfast, to discuss a possible partnership, one that would have changed Samuel's life in a single year. The opportunity was prepared. The goodwill was prepared. Even the table at which they were to sit had been prepared. But Samuel's inner world was in disorder. He was careless with his time, casual with his commitments, and ruled more by impulse than by purpose. On the morning of that meeting, he overslept. He rushed half-prepared, his mind scattered, his clothes untidy, his notes forgotten. He arrived late. The businessman had waited, then quietly left, not out of anger, but out of understanding. For he knew a principle that heaven itself honors: a man who is careless with little will be destructive with much. In the days that followed, Samuel tried to explain, to send apologies, to give reasons, but the chance had passed. It was not that God had not prepared. It was that Samuel's lack of order testified that he was not yet a fit steward for what had been arranged. It is a painful story, but it contains a merciful warning. Heaven does not waste resources. It sends more to the man who has proven he can carry what he already has. You may be asking, why have the doors not opened? The better question is, have I become the man who can be trusted with the keys? You may be asking, Where is the abundance? Ask instead, what have I done with the small provision I already hold? Do not mistake this for condemnation. It is invitation. God is not against you. He is for you. So much so that he will hold back certain weights until your shoulders are ready, until your habits are strong enough, until your character is anchored enough not to be crushed by what you are asking for. The blessing is not in question. Your readiness is inner order, is not some cold mechanical system. It is a form of reverence. It is how you show heaven that you understand the sacredness of what you are asking to receive. Order begins in the mind. A mind filled with scattered worries and half-formed intentions cannot receive clear direction. You must begin to think on purpose, to hold a definite aim, to refuse to entertain every stray thought of fear or laziness that knocks at the door. Order continues in your purpose. You cannot live as a man of drift and expect God to send a ship full of cargo your way. If the ship arrived, you would not know which port to guide it into. Define what you are here to build. Even if it seems small at first, let it be clear, a prepared world requires a prepared man. Order is completed in your habits. If you rise at a different hour each day, if you work only when you feel like it, if your word means little even to yourself, then you are signaling to heaven, I am not yet serious, I am not yet trustworthy with heavier gifts. And heaven listens. So I give you a simple but powerful practice, a nightly examination. Each evening before you sleep, sit for a few minutes in quiet honesty and ask yourself, have I been a good steward of what I already have today? Do not rush this question. Have I been faithful with my time? Have I respected the opportunities already present? Have I treated my current responsibilities as training for greater ones? Have I honored the small trust so that I can be trusted with more? If your answer is no in some area, do not fall into shame. Shame is of no use to the builder. Simply acknowledge it and decide how you will correct it tomorrow. If your answer is yes, even in a small thing, perhaps you kept a promise, finished a task thoroughly, arrived punctually, controlled your tongue, then give thanks inwardly. For with each such act, you are quietly telling heaven, you can trust me with more. The man who keeps his desk in order, his word in honor, his hours accounted for, his thoughts aligned. This man is building invisible walls strong enough to hold up the roof of abundance. He may not yet see the provision, but he is laying the inner foundation upon which it can safely rest. You say, I want God to bless my business. Have you brought order to your current dealings? You say, I want more money. Have you honored what you already hold, or do you spend in confusion and regret? You say, I want greater responsibility. Have you treated your present duties as sacred or as burdens to escape? Heaven is watching, not to condemn, but to measure capacity. As you bring order within, the prepared blessings can safely find you. Say those words quietly now as I speak them. As I bring order within, the prepared blessings can safely find me. Again, with a little more weight. As I bring order within, the prepared blessings can safely find me. Once more, as if you were signing your name under a new law, as I bring order within, the prepared blessings can safely find me. From this night forward, let every act of order, every cleaned corner, every kept promise, every disciplined hour become a signal you send upward. I am readying myself for what you have already prepared. The divine preparation is done. The path is there. The table is set. Now let your inner order rise to meet it. There is a bridge between what God has already prepared for you and the life you are living now. That bridge is not built of stone, nor of wood, nor of iron. It is built of words. Every word you speak is a plank laid either toward your promised future or away from it. Every sentence you repeat is a command to your own mind, to your own nerves, to your own behavior, either in favor of your divine preparation or in rebellion against it. If God has already prepared the way, then your tongue must stop speaking as if nothing were ready. This is the fourth law. Speak as if the promise were already kept. You and I must face a difficult truth. Most men pray to a generous God and then speak like orphans. They ask for guidance and then talk as if they were wandering in the dark. They say with their lips, I believe, but every casual phrase that leaves their mouth contradicts that belief, and the subconscious mind is listening. Remember this. Your deeper mind does not respond to the prayer you whisper once with trembling. It responds to the phrases you repeat all day with emotion. That is the law of language. Whatever you repeat with feeling, you are instructing your subconscious to build. If day after day you say, "If I am lucky, perhaps something good will happen," your subconscious hears, "I am at the mercy of chance. I am not backed by a prepared plan. I am a leaf in the wind," and it organizes your posture, your decisions, your courage to match that instruction. If you say, "If someday something good comes my way," you are telling your deeper self, "Nothing is prepared yet. Nothing is sure. I must wait and see." And your mind, being obedient, will happily arrange your life so that you keep waiting and seeing while the prepared blessings pass you by. This is not punishment. It is obedience. On the other hand, if you begin to speak in harmony with the truth that God has already prepared your path, your words become like spiritual rails upon which provision can travel into your experience. Listen to the difference. Say, "Tengo suerte," becomes, "When this begins to materialize, I will be ready." Say, "Algún día llega algo bueno," becomes, "As I continue walking toward what is already prepared for me, I will see the right doors open at the right time." Do you feel the difference? The first way of speaking leaves you outside your own life, watching, hoping, doubting. The second way places you inside a divine plan, moving, expecting, cooperating. One kind of tongue honors chance. The other kind of tongue honors God. You must now choose which altar your words will serve. Let me give you an image. Imagine two men standing at the edge of an orchard at dawn. Both have been told, "There is fruit prepared for you. The trees are real. The branches are heavy. The fruit is ready to be picked." The first man folds his arms and says, "If I am lucky, perhaps a few pieces will fall at my feet." He waits. He watches the ground. He complains that nothing comes. He blames the wind. The second man looks at the same orchard and says, "As I walk between these trees, I shall find what has been prepared for me." He steps forward. He lifts his hand. He reaches. He picks. The same orchard, the same opportunity. The difference is not in God's preparation. The difference is in the man's language and therefore in his movement. Your tongue is not a small thing. It is the steering wheel of your destiny. That is why you must now become very strict with the way you speak about your future, your work, your provision, your life. From this night forward, I invite you into a discipline I call a fast. From complaint, for 7 days you will abstain from speaking against the preparation of God in your life. For 7 days you will refuse to say, "Nothing ever works for me," or "I never have enough," or "It is always hard for people like me." For 7 days, every time such a phrase rises to your lips, you will stop, correct yourself, and replace it with language that honors a God who has already gone ahead of you. Instead of "Nothing good ever happens," you will say, "Even when I cannot see it, something prepared for my good is unfolding." Instead of "This will probably fail," you will say, "As I do my part, what has been prepared for me will meet me on the way." Instead of "Everything is against me," you will say, "Infinite intelligence has ordered my steps. Even resistance is shaping me for what is already prepared." This is not childish optimism. This is alignment. You are not pretending that no difficulty exists. You are declaring that even in difficulty, you are not abandoned. You are not random. You are not outside the care of a prepared plan. Your words must become consistent with a world governed by a wise and generous source. Let me tell you something. The wealthy and the deeply spiritual have in common. They are careful with what they say. I have sat with men of great fortune who refused to speak loosely about failure. When their enterprises faced storms, they did not say, "We are ruined." They said, "We are being tested. We will adjust. We will come through stronger." I have also sat with men of deep faith who would not allow words of defeat to cross their lips. When resources seemed scarce, they did not say, "God has forgotten me." They said, "This is a season of preparation. What I need is already on its way." Their circumstances were often no better than yours. But their speech was different, and over time their lives followed their language. Your tongue must now be trained the same way. During this 7-day fast from complaint, do 3 things. First, listen. Pay attention to how you speak without thinking. Notice how often you talk as if nothing were prepared for you. Do not judge yourself. Simply see clearly. Second, interrupt. Each time you hear yourself speak like a beggar in an empty world, stop mid-sentence. Say softly, "That is not my law anymore." Then replace it with language that reflects a prepared path. Third, affirm. Begin and end each day of these 7 days with a single powerful statement that re-educates your tongue and your subconscious mind. Say it with me now. Slowly, my words honor a God who has already prepared my way. Again, with more weight in your chest, my words honor a God who has already prepared my way. One more time, as if you were carving it into stone. My words honor a God who has already prepared my way. When you speak like this, you are not trying to convince God. He already knows what he has prepared. You are convincing your own mind so that your actions, your posture, and your courage will match the world you say you believe in. Do not underestimate this law. A man may attend to 1,000 tasks, but if his language still serves doubt, he will sabotage his own path. Another may have only a few small tasks each day, but if his language consistently honors a God who has prepared his way, he will begin to see evidence of that preparation more and more. Not because God loved one more than the other, but because one chose to walk in harmony with the promise while the other spoke against it. Remember this always. You cannot walk into a prepared future with a complaining tongue. Let your words change first, and your world will not be far behind. Now I want to lead you into a picture that your mind will never forget. This is not a game of imagination. This is rehearsal. You are about to walk in spirit into a world where everything has already been prepared for you. Close your eyes if you can. If you are resting, let your hands grow still. If you are lying down, allow your body to sink a little deeper into where you are. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for a moment and let it out gently through your mouth. Again, breathe in, slowly, filling your chest. Hold and exhale, letting the weight of the day flow out with your breath. One more time. In, hold, and out. Now, as you breathe calmly, bring your attention to the top of your head. Imagine a soft wave of relaxation beginning there. With each breath, that wave moves downward. Your forehead smooths. The small muscles around your eyes loosen. Your jaw unclenches. Your tongue rests easily. Neck and shoulders. All the strain you have been carrying there begins to melt like ice touched by the morning sun. Your chest grows light. Your arms rest heavy and relaxed at your sides. Your hands and fingers soften. Your back releases the tightness it has held. Your legs grow heavy and comfortable. Your feet relax, every toe at ease. You are awake but calm, present but unhurried. Now, in the quiet of your inner vision, I want you to see yourself standing at the entrance of a long corridor. The air is still. There is no crowd, no noise, only the soft echo of your own breathing. The corridor stretches before you, lit by a gentle golden light that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. You take a step forward. As you walk, you feel the familiar weight you have carried for years. Memories of failure press at your shoulders. Old doubts whisper at your back. Voices from the past rise up. You are late. You are not ready. You do not deserve more. Let them come. Do not fight them. You simply keep walking. Each step you take, the sound of your foot on the floor is like a quiet declaration. I am still moving. I am still coming. I am still obeying the call. The corridor seems long, as if it stretches through all the years of your life. On the walls you sense shadows of your past, moments you wished had gone differently, times you felt abandoned, doors that once stayed closed. You feel a slight heaviness in your chest, a mixture of fear and hope. Stay with me. Keep walking. Far ahead, you notice something. At the end of the corridor, there is a door. It is not just any door. You see, written clearly upon it, your name, not the name others use to insult you, not the name associated with your failures, but your true name, the one your soul recognizes. You pause for a moment in front of this door. Fear approaches. What if there is nothing inside? What if you open it and find only emptiness? What if you are again disappointed? Let the fear speak, then gently answer it. If God has prepared all things, he has prepared this moment too. If infinite intelligence has ordered my steps, this door is no accident. You place your hand on the handle. It feels solid, familiar, as if you have held it many times before in dreams you have forgotten. You take a breath. Slowly, you turn the handle and push the door open. What you see now is not chaos, not a bare room, not a test. You see order. You see preparation. You step into a large, spacious hall, bright yet gentle, filled with a warm light that seems to welcome you. This is the prepared room. Look around. On one side, you see a long table covered with documents, plans, contracts, letters, blueprints. These are the opportunities that were always meant to meet you. On another side, you see tools, simple and advanced, representing skills, ideas, and abilities that are already inside you, waiting to be used. In the distance, you see chairs and places set as if for meetings not yet held. You sense the presence of people, partners, clients, students, helpers, those you are to bless and those who will bless you in return. Nothing here is random. Nothing here is random. Nothing here is thrown together. Everything is in order, as if someone has been expecting you. And in the stillness of that room, a voice rises, not from above you, but from within you. Deep, calm, unquestionable. I prepared this long before you doubted. Let those words sink in. I prepared this long before you doubted. Really, years you thought you were forgotten? All the nights you asked, is there anything for me? All the days when nothing seemed to move? The voice continues, I did not begin preparing when you started praying. I was preparing before you knew how to ask. I set things in place before you even knew your own name. What you call coincidence, I call design. What you call delay, I call training. I prepared this long before you doubted. You feel something loosen inside you. The room is not empty. It is waiting for you. Now slowly you begin to walk through this prepared hall. Your eyes fall upon 3 objects, set intentionally where you cannot miss them. The first is a key, resting upon a simple pedestal. You approach it. This key is not made of common metal. It gleams with a soft inner light, as if it is formed of decision itself. As you pick it up, the voice inside you speaks again. This is decision. You have asked for doors, but you have been slow to choose. I prepared paths, but you remained at the crossroads. Take this key and remember, doors open for the man who decides. You close your hand around the key. Bring it to your chest. In your mind, whisper, I choose to decide. I will no longer stand forever in the perhaps. You place the key gently in an inner pocket, symbolically in your heart. It is yours now. You continue walking. The second object you see is a lamp, already lit, standing upon a high table. Its flame is steady, not flickering. The light does not hurt your eyes. It comforts them. You step closer. This, the inner voice says, is clarity. Not the clarity of seeing the entire future, but the clarity of the next step. I did not leave you in the dark. I gave you a lamp, not a flood of lightning. You have enough light for the step you are on. You wrap your fingers gently around the lamp. See yourself raising it just a little. The glow touches your face, your chest, your hands. You feel a calm knowing you do not need to see everything. You only need to see enough to move. In your mind, repeat softly, I accept the light of the next step. What I have is enough to move. You set the lamp back, knowing its light is now impressed upon your inner vision. Then you see the third object. Lying upon a desk, open and clear, is a contract. Your name is written on it in bold, confident script. You lean closer. This is not a contract between you and other men. This is a contract between your destiny and your obedience, between what God has prepared and what you are willing to walk into. As your eyes move over the page, you feel that every promise you have ever sensed in your spirit is represented here. Work that matters, provision that supports, relationships that align, growth that stretches and strengthens you. At the bottom, there is a signature. You feel your heart tighten. You expected a blank space there, waiting for you, but you see something else. The voice within you whispers, the promise has already been signed in spirit. I did not wait to see whether you would be worthy. I prepared the agreement in advance. Now, your task is not to create the promise, but to live as someone for whom it is already done. You place your hand over that signed place. Quietly in your mind, say, I agree to live as if the promise has already been kept. Stay there for a moment. Feel that agreement in your chest, not as pressure, but as release. You are not running behind your life, trying to catch blessings before they disappear. You are stepping into what was prepared for you to handle, to steward, to multiply. Now slowly you begin to walk the length of the room, letting your hands slide gently over the backs of the chairs, the edges of the tables, the handles of tools. Every object you touch seems to say, "We were waiting for you. We are not here by accident. We are here because you are here." Let a single sentence rise in you, quietly at first, then clearer. I am not arriving empty. I am arriving to what has already been set aside for me. Say it inwardly again. I am not arriving empty. I am arriving to what has already been set aside for me. Once more, with deep conviction, I am not arriving empty. I am arriving to what has already been set aside for me. The room begins to feel less strange now. It feels like home, not the home of your past, but the home of your calling, the place your spirit recognizes as the proper environment for your growth. Now the voice within you speaks one more time. When you return to your ordinary day, remember what you see with your eyes is only the outer hallway. This room is the inner reality. Each time you act in faith, you step from the corridor into this prepared hall. Each time you doubt yourself and speak like a beggar, you walk back into the shadows. I have not removed this room. It remains ready. Walk as if this is more true than what you fear. You turn slowly toward the door through which you first entered. You look back once more at the prepared room, the tables, the documents, the tools, the chairs, the key, the lamp, the signed contract. You know now, none of this is fantasy. This is a symbolic picture of a spiritual truth. You are not walking into an empty future. You are walking into a prepared one. With that knowing in your chest, you step back through the door. It closes gently behind you. You begin to walk once more along the corridor. But now the air feels different. The heaviness of the past no longer stands on your shoulders like a master. The whispers of doubt still exist, but they sound smaller, farther away. You keep walking until the corridor slowly fades. Now bring your attention back to your breathing. Feel the air entering and leaving your lungs. Notice the weight of your body where you are resting. Become aware again of the room you are in, the sounds around you, the present moment. And carry this quiet thought with you as you return. The world I see when I open my eyes is only the outer hallway. Somewhere within, the prepared room awaits. Every act of faith, every step forward, every word, aligned with God's preparation, moves me from the corridor into that room. Take one more slow breath in and exhale. When you are ready, open your eyes. You have not just imagined something. You have rehearsed a new way of being. From this moment on, you are no longer stumbling into an uncertain world. You are walking toward what has already been set aside for you. Now that you have walked in spirit into the prepared room, I want to show you how this law has already been at work in the lives of others. These are not tales of luck. They are demonstrations of law, the law of a prepared path met by a prepared man or woman. Listen closely, and as you hear their stories, I want you to quietly ask yourself, am I willing to act as they did, trusting what I cannot yet see? Let us begin. I once observed a woman whose life could have been written off as ordinary. Her name was Noah. Noah was a school teacher. Her days were filled with crowded classrooms, worn-out chalk, and the quiet fatigue of someone who gives more than she receives. She loved her students, but in the depths of her soul, she knew she was capable of more impact, more responsibility, more unfolding of the gift within her. Yet the world she saw each day did not reflect that inner knowing. Her salary was modest. Her school was small. Her town seemed asleep. Many in her position chose the path of complaint. I will do more, they said, when someone gives me the chance. I will rise, they said, when there is a better place to rise to. They waited for the world to prepare something before they prepared themselves. But Noah thought differently. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, she sat alone in her modest room, papers piled high, lamplight dim, heart heavy. She might have wept. She might have given in to bitterness, but instead a new thought entered her mind, quiet but firm. What if the position I desire has already been prepared, and the question is not when it will appear, but whether I will be ready when it does? That thought did not come from weariness. It came from infinite intelligence, knocking. No external opportunity had appeared. No one had offered her a better position. No one had suggested promotion. But Noah made a decision. I will live, she said to herself, as if a greater role is already prepared for me. I will prepare myself now, so that when the door opens, I am not scrambling. I am stepping into what was always mine. From that day forward, she changed her rhythm. After school, when others hurried home, she lingered to study new methods of teaching. She read books on leadership, child psychology, administration. She watched the principal, not with envy, but with a student's eye, learning how decisions were made. She arrived earlier than required, not to impress, but to practice living as a woman already entrusted with more. She began to carry herself differently. She spoke to colleagues with the calm and clarity of one who was not begging for authority, but growing into it. There was no new title yet, no extra pay, no applause, only faith in motion. Months passed. One day the unexpected occurred. The principal of the school, who was respected and dearly loved, received a sudden opportunity in another city. His resignation left the board in confusion. They needed someone to step in, someone who could both teach and organize, both instruct and lead. Names were suggested. Some refused, saying, I am not ready. Others wished, but their daily lives had not proven readiness. But when Noah's name was mentioned, something happened. The chairman of the board said, I have watched her. She has already been living as if she were responsible for more. Her lessons were orderly. Her students were engaged. Her reports were precise. Her presence in the corridors quieted disorder without a word. She had not been begging for promotion. She had been rehearsing it. The position that now suddenly appeared had in truth been preparing to meet her just as surely as she had been preparing to meet it. And when the invitation came, she did not panic. She did not say, I am not enough. Her heart trembled, yes. But beneath the trembling was a quiet certainty. I have been living as if this were already prepared. Now I walk in. That is the law. The opportunity was not a random gift. It was the meeting of divine preparation above and disciplined preparation below. After a pause, I ask you to whisper inwardly, I will act as they did, trusting what I cannot yet see. Now let us look at another life, very different in appearance, governed by the same law. His name was Liam. Liam was a small merchant, the owner of a modest shop in a district where money was often scarce and competition was fierce. Times grew difficult. The economy tightened. Customers counted every coin twice before spending. Many shopkeepers responded as you might expect. They cut corners. They bought cheaper goods. They reduced service, shortened hours, and began to speak daily of scarcity, misfortune, and the cruelty of circumstances. They acted as if the world were closing, and so for them it did. But Liam carried a different thought within him. He too felt the pressure, the nights when the ledger did not balance, the early mornings when anxiety knocked at his door. But instead of surrendering to the mood of scarcity, he asked himself a strange question. What if God has already prepared a greater flow of customers for me, not by accident, but because of the way I choose to serve now? He decided on a simple law for himself. I will serve today as if an abundant clientele were already on the way. I will prepare my shop not for the few I see, but for the many I do not yet see. Others laughed. What is the use of polishing the windows, they said, when no one is looking? What is the use of improving your goods, they said, when people can barely afford bread? But Liam had understood something they had not. He was not serving only the customers in front of him. He was serving the God who prepared the future. He improved the quality of his stock, not recklessly, but with wisdom. He trained his assistants to greet each person with warmth and care. He kept the store immaculate, arranged everything with order, as if every day were the day an important partner might walk through the door. There were still quiet days, still slow hours, still moments when fear whispered, you are foolish, you should retreat. But each time that whisper came, he replied with action. He straightened the shelves anew. He refined his accounts. He asked, "How can I make this service worthy of the provision I believe is already prepared?" Then, one season, an event he did not foresee occurred. A large company decided to establish operations not far from his district. Their workers would need supplies, everyday goods, a reliable place that could handle larger orders without confusion or delay. Representatives from this company began to walk through the streets, quietly observing the shops. Some merchants asleep at the wheel greeted them with indifference, disarray, and complaints. When those representatives stepped into Liam's shop, they saw something different. They saw order. They saw cleanliness. They saw records that could be understood at a glance. They saw a staff trained to serve without grumbling. What had Liam been doing? Living as if this moment had already been arranged. And indeed it had. The company chose his shop as their primary supplier. The miracle that others later spoke of. Liam was lucky. Fortune smiled on him was no miracle of chance. It was the predictable meeting of a prepared opportunity and a prepared man. Expectation, order, obedience to an inner conviction that said, "Act now as the man you must be when abundance arrives." I say to you, as I reflect on his life, you cannot wait for abundance to treat you like a trusted steward while you behave as if you expect only scraps. Once more, whisper within yourself, "I will act as they did, trusting what I cannot yet see." Now I will tell you of Emily. Emily was a widow. Her husband had departed this world, leaving her with a small sum of money, some modest possessions, and a heart heavy with grief. She might have yielded to despair. She might have said, as so many do, "My life is now only survival." But there was in Emily a quiet, stubborn faith. She believed, however faintly, that God had not only seen her tears, but had also prepared a path beyond them. The sum of money she possessed was not large, but it was something. She could have consumed it quickly in her pain. She could have scattered it carelessly in a desperate attempt to feel safe. Instead, she made a decision. "I will treat this small capital," she said, "as if God has already prepared an expansion for it. I will act now as if this were the seed of something larger, not the last crumbs of my fortune." She began to study. While neighbors lost themselves in gossip, she quietly learned about accounting, simple investment, and how to keep clear records of every coin. She reduced unnecessary expenses, not from fear, but from reverence. This little, she thought, must be handled as if it were much. She did not speak about her finances in the language of despair. She did not say, "This is all I have. Soon it will be gone." She said instead, in her own simple words, "This is the beginning of what God has prepared, and I will handle it accordingly." She took a small space in a marketplace and began selling carefully chosen textiles, items she understood and could present with dignity. Her stall was not impressive in size, but it was impressive in order. Everything folded, everything accounted for, every transaction recorded with clarity. The world still looked upon her as a woman limited by circumstance, but heaven saw a steward being trained. Now listen carefully to what happened next. In another part of the city lived a man, serious, hard-working, who had been searching for months for someone trustworthy to help him expand his own business. He was not simply looking for skill. He was looking for character, someone who managed little well and thus could be trusted with more. He had spoken to many. Some boasted loudly of what they would do with great wealth, yet their own affairs were chaotic. Then, one day, as he walked through the market, his attention was drawn quietly, almost invisibly, to Emily's stall. It was small, but it radiated order. No exaggeration, no noise, only careful management and quiet dignity. He watched her serve customers with patience. He noticed how she wrote down each sale. He observed her respect for every coin, every piece of fabric. He saw in her small operation the reflection of a law. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. After several visits, he approached her with a proposal. He had capital, connections, and access to larger markets. She had integrity, discipline, and the courage to act as if God was not finished with her story. They entered into partnership. Her small stall grew into a modest, then flourishing business in textiles, one that provided not only for her needs, but for many others. Those who knew her past said she was fortunate. Someone discovered her. But I tell you this, her discovery was not fortunate accident. It was the alignment of divine preparation with disciplined faith. While she wept, God had prepared. While she learned, God had prepared. While she handled little as if it were much, the much was quietly being arranged. Expectation, order, obedience. The right word about herself, and the work to match it. Now let your own heart respond. I will act as they did, trusting what I cannot yet see. My friend, these lives are not exceptions meant to discourage you. Noah, the teacher, Liam, the merchant, Emily, the widow, three very different people. Joined by a single law, they acted as if God had already prepared everything for them. And in doing so, they finally met what had been waiting for them all along. They did not wait for confidence to arrive. They did not wait for circumstances to shout, "Now it is safe." They prepared in obscurity. They walked while still uncertain. They spoke in alignment with divine preparation, not human fear. And heaven, seeing their expectation, their inner order, their obedient steps, unfolded the prepared path before them. Now it is your turn. Do not say, "If I had what they had, I would act as they did." Say instead, "If I act as they did, trusting what I cannot yet see, I will meet what has already been prepared for me." Let that be your quiet, steady vow. Now, my friend, let us seal what has been planted, for what good is revelation if it does not become identity? What good is knowledge if it is not lived? You have heard truths tonight that were never meant to be admired. They were meant to be embodied. So listen closely as I remind you who you are now. You are no longer a man who asks the world for permission. You are a man who answers the call of something already prepared for him. You no longer wait for doors to open. You walk toward them knowing they were built with you in mind. You no longer speak as one lost in uncertainty. You speak as one aligned with divine order. The old identity, the beggar, the doubter, the one who prays for signs and then questions them, that man no longer lives here. The one who stands now has stepped into covenant with infinite intelligence. You are not chasing destiny. You are meeting it. Take a slow breath now. Let it deepen the conviction that rises quietly within you. And now, with calm strength, repeat these words after me, not as recitation, but as rhythm, as remembrance, as the voice of your new self taking root. I walk as if the way exists. Every morning I rise, I take my steps in confidence. Even when the road is hidden, I move forward, for I know the ground will form beneath my feet. I expect the good already prepared. My heart is not restless. It is expectant. The right people, the right moments, the right provisions are not delayed. They are aligning as I move. I keep inner order for outer provision. I do not beg for blessings. I am unfit to hold. I bring my thoughts into order, my habits into alignment, my words into truth, for heaven trusts the man who governs himself. I speak as if the promise is kept. My tongue no longer betrays my faith. I do not speak of luck or chance or misfortune. Every word I utter is an agreement with divine preparation. I treat every task like a doorway. No act is small, no duty meaningless. Each moment, each task, each decision is a doorway into the greater plan. I treat every hour as sacred, every work as part of the whole. Breathe again. Let these words become more than sentences. Let them become your pulse. Now understand this clearly. Transformation does not arrive through a single hearing. It arrives through repetition, through quiet daily obedience, through your willingness to return again and again to what you have learned here tonight. Each time you listen, the old man weakens. Each time you practice, the new identity strengthens. Each time you act as though everything is prepared, heaven rearranges itself to meet your expectation. Do not let this message be a passing spark. Let it become a rhythm that guides your mornings, shapes your choices, and colors your thoughts. For this is not a momentary inspiration. This is instruction. This is the framework of a new mind. the mind of a man who trusts the prepared path. And now, as I look upon you in spirit, I say this: you are ready, not someday, now. The world does not need another man waiting for proof. It needs one man walking as proof. Say it once more, quietly but with power. I walk as if the way exists. I expect the good already prepared. I keep inner order for outer provision. I speak as if the promise is kept. I treat every task like a doorway. Now hold that silence, because in that silence, your new identity is settling into place. You are no longer standing at the gate of what is possible. You are standing within it. And from this day forward, wherever you go, you will not carry hope alone. You will carry certainty. The certainty that everything you need has already been set in motion. The certainty that infinite intelligence does not make partial plans. The certainty that you too are part of the preparation. You have become the evidence of the law itself. And now, when others see your peace in the midst of uncertainty, when they ask, "How do you move with such confidence when nothing is clear?" you will smile and say, "I am not waiting for things to be ready. I am walking into what already is." That is the voice of a man who trusts preparation. That is the rhythm of divine success, and that is now who you are. Now we arrive at the final command. Not a conclusion, but a charge. Not an ending, but a beginning. Because truth once received demands motion, and revelation once understood demands obedience. From this moment on, you must refuse to live as if you were abandoned. You must never again walk as if life has forgotten your name. The power that designed the mountains, that spun the stars, that placed breath in your chest, that same power has prepared your path. You are not waiting for it to begin. It is waiting for you to move. So hear me clearly now. From this moment forward, you will walk as if everything you need is already waiting for you on the road. You will speak as if every promise has already been fulfilled. You will act as if the unseen order of heaven has already gone before you, because it has. When doubt rises, you will not negotiate with it. You will answer it with motion. When fear whispers, "What if you fail?" you will respond, "I cannot fail walking on a road prepared for me." When your old self pleads for delay, you will rise and move. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, I give you this challenge, not as a test, but as a doorway. Before this day ends, take one action that only a man of faith would take. Write the letter you have delayed. Begin the study you have postponed. Open the project you have feared. Make the call you have excused. Forgive the person you have resented. Invest in the dream you have dismissed. Do not wait for confirmation. Your movement is the confirmation, because faith without action is not humility. It is rebellion. It is saying to God, "I heard you, but I do not trust you." So act, move, prove. Show heaven that you believe what you have spoken. Show infinite intelligence that you are aligned with the plan already written for your life. And when you take that step, though it may be small, though no one else may see it, you will feel something shift. The air will change. The silence will grow lighter. You will sense that you are no longer walking alone, but accompanied by something vast, ancient, and benevolent, the quiet machinery of divine order moving with you. That is the moment you will understand what I have been saying all along. The power does not come before the step. It comes because of the step. Now, listen to me as if your life depends on it, because it does. You are not a beggar at the door of fate. You are not a wanderer lost in a world of chance. You are a builder walking into a plan prepared long before you were born. Every law you have heard, every affirmation you have spoken, every truth that has stirred your heart, it has all led to this single final decree. Act as if God had already prepared everything for you, and you will discover He had. Not tomorrow, not someday, but the very moment you dare to walk, as if it were already done. That, my friend, is the moment heaven stops waiting and begins to walk with you. Now rise. Go prove it.